We're going to take a look at what's going to most likely replace every factory worker in the world. And they're not going to just stop at replacing factory workers. And the idea of being replaced is already, understandably, getting a lot of people upset. It's getting a lot of people angry and nervous about this future that we can't predict. You already have people attacking autonomous cars that are driving in their city. But whether we're ready or not, the future is here. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the Atlas Robot by Boston Dynamics.
As children, we imagined the promise of tomorrow, a future where science fiction would become reality. That's where our journey began. Our goal was simple: to find out what was possible. Animals and humans move so easily through the world. Our obsession was with how. So, we gave them legs, arms, hands. You watched our robots do the impossible: jump, run, climb, and flip. Then we asked, what if we could automate the hard work, make things safer, easier, make our lives better?
And we still haven't seen the Atlas Robot. We still haven't seen the replacement for the average factory worker that's to come. But I wanted to stop it there. What if we could automate all the hard work? What if we could make things easier and better? And I know that the initial emotion that a lot of people are going to feel is anger or fear. And most of the time, anger really is fear, and it's just your way of coping with the fact that you're scared. I know a lot of people will be feeling a ton of different emotions as these changes happen. But that question, what if we could automate all the hard work? What kind of future would that be for us? Is that future really so bad? Is it something that we should be upset about? Is it something that we should be attacking autonomous cars about? Maybe this future isn't that bad. And I know a lot of people push back and they say, well, without our jobs, without all the hard work, where are we going to get purpose? Where are we going to get meaning? This is how we have gotten our purpose and meaning and derived all of what we call life from for how long? How long have we just looked at as our job as who we are? One of the first things that you ask somebody is, hey, what do you do? Not like what your passion is, not who you are, maybe your name, but the first thing that somebody really asks is, how do you make money? What is your job? What is your 9 to 5? Without that, who are we? And I don't think it's that bad of a question to propose. I don't think it's that far off to be wanting to answer that with a real solution. What if we could automate all of our hard work? It's one of those things that I could see a lazy person saying, yeah, just do everything for me. That's what's wrong. What is going to happen to humanity if everything is done for them? Have you seen that Wall-E movie where everybody is just floating around and they're all fat and everything is done for them, right? The quality of life should be better, right? But without jobs, without purpose, they find no meaning. They just constantly push that dopamine button over and over and over again. Can't you see that this is just the beginning? I could see both sides. I could see how this could play out very bad or very good. And it's more than likely going to land somewhere in the middle. There's going to be a whole bunch of good with some bad sprinkled in that is inevitably going to happen. I mean, it already does happen, right? We already have bad, right? It's all about trade offs. But again, like I said, we still haven't met the Atlas robot. We still haven't met the average factory worker's replacement. This is just the beginning as far as what they're considering. This was just, as they said, they looked at the way that humans and animals move, and that's what sparked their curiosity. I mean, we've been fantasizing about having robots for how long? I mean, this is what we've been wanting, right? I guess a part of us, deep down, we might not have thought that it could actually come true. Flying cars and robots and artificial superintelligence. Maybe science fiction was just science after all. But let's see.
For 5 years, we've been taking robots out of the lab and into the world. Now begins the next chapter, a superhuman robot, built to perform, built to work. Atlas is the realization of 3 decades pushing and breaking boundaries. The best we've ever built, and the bridge between human ingenuity and what comes next. Innovation is our lever. Your imagination is our inspiration. A world where physical automation expands our horizons. A world where robots walk with us as helpers and companions to make life easier, safer, and more fulfilling. Atlas is not the end of our journey, but the beginning of your tomorrow.
Bro. See, a part of me, I'm not gonna lie. I see it. I feel it. I feel it. How it's kind of like there's a creepiness to it. I get it. I'm not immune to it. I'm not. I see that shit. It is kind of creepy. It's kind of friendly at the same time. Like it looks like it would help you. I uh I couldn't help but notice that in this future that they were imagining, you see different robots of different colors doing different tasks. That's coming. We haven't even been talking about the Optimus robots that Elon Musk is creating. He's already like looking at 1 billion robots to come. Like this is coming, whether we're ready or not. And starting with factory workers, I mean, think about how many things that we require factory workers for. How many different industries? How many things that actually require things to be assembled? And I remember actually one time for like just a couple months, I ended up quitting that shit. But I did work at some sort of factory. It was for like golf carts or some shit. This was a while ago, but there were already robots then. Like we did shit, but we kind of were like helping the arms, and I don't know the technicalities about all of this shit. Like I said, I quit that fucking job after a few months, but we were already guiding machines, guiding some sort of robot. And whenever something would happen, as far as like something with the code or some shit, they would have to call in some guy to just come, I don't know, beep boop boop with the fucking side panel and try to fix that shit. And then we would go back. We were stuck. When the robot stopped, we stopped. We didn't know like what are we gonna do? Now, this Atlas robot right here, it doesn't stop. It has a 4 hour battery life that it can change out itself. It replaces its own battery. It literally works 24/7. It doesn't need health insurance. It doesn't take sick days. It doesn't come in hungover. It doesn't have an attitude. It doesn't worry about overtime. It doesn't worry about pay at all. And again, it's really easy to look at the bad side of this because that is a lot of jobs. That is a lot of families without an income that they've been relying on for, you know, basically since we've had factories. So when you take the job of an average factory worker, then what? Then what? And looking at every other industry that one of these can affect, one of the things that people say is, to survive what's to come, you're going to have to maybe become an electrician, a plumber, somebody that is actually using their hands to fix things, to do things, something that can't be taken over by artificial intelligence, which is crazy because when the computer age came, well, it was the exact opposite advice. Go learn the code, learn something with computers, and that's where all the money is. Now you can use a whole bunch of different AI applications to code apps and websites, and you don't need any of the knowledge that people spent years accruing. They got replaced what feels like instantly. So people said, okay, it's all right. We know how to adapt. We know how to change with our environment. All you have to do is go figure out how to fix a sink, how to fix some electrical issue, something like that. Something where you can't get replaced. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but your job is up for grabs too. And if a factory worker's job is up for grabs, then that's only the beginning. I can't think of any job that if you can do that, you can basically do anything. I think it said it can hold up to like 60, 70 pounds at a time. Like just sit there and hold it. And again, it's not a human, so it's not one of those, oh, it's been 20 minutes, now I'm getting tired. Like I can't keep holding this shit. I can move it for you, but this robot, it doesn't complain. Why, if you were a business owner, before you get upset, before you get all irrational about how you feel about what's to come, if you were a business owner, what would you do? Which one would you hire? Would you hire the human that has all of those things that I listed, or would you pay for the robot that will pay for itself and then some after just I don't know, I guess it depends what business you have. But it'll definitely pay for itself if you give it some time. It's a no-brainer. It's one of those things where you're backed into a corner. I mean, if I don't do it, my competitor's going to do it. You know, Johnny down the street has a competing factory and he just slashed his employees in half. And now because of that, he's able to produce more than twice as much because it's not just the extra money that he's making. It's you have these you have these fucking superhuman robots that can do everything that we can do and then more. They can work forever. They can spin around. They're not limited by our own biology. You can't just spin your damn spine around like you're an owl and then continue walking. These things can move in ways that we would never even be able to. And not only that, they're able to do it while holding a decent amount of weight. Let's let's think about other industries that actually would be affected by this. Because my first thought is like doctors and surgeons. Imagine having our hand, but not having to worry about the size of that shit. We have to use these little tools because our hands are so fucking big. If we just stick our hand in somebody while they have a surgery going on, we're gonna kill them. We can't do that. So we've perfected using these tools. But what if you have the Atlas Robot MD that comes in and says, "Okay, don't worry. I have this hand that can turn into a like a little microscopic hand, and it can go in and fix an artery that's clogged." I don't know doctor shit, but you know what I'm saying. This future, I think it's gonna be amazing. I think it's gonna be astounding, and I am worried about you know where our purpose does come from, and it sucks that we've basically been brainwashed to think that without a job we would have no purpose. Without something that we can go and do between 9 and 5, well, you can still do shit. You can still find a passion. You can still do things. And people have been talking about UBI, like universal basic income, or like, like something where it's not just basic income, it's high income. So whether it's basic income or high income, basically some sort of universal payment system from the government, I guess, that is going to be dished out to everybody just for existing, and nobody's going to want for anything. And I guess it does suck. It does suck to think about. Like, I don't really want that. That sounds a lot like a controlling society that you be in. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it's always felt very freeing that we all have the ability to make something big, to get rich, or have, I guess you could still like invent shit and have some sort of company, but again, it gets to a point where you draw this timeline out long enough, eventually it'll be pointless. You know, like anything that you could think of inventing, you wouldn't do it. Are you going to invent it? Are you going to literally sit there and take the time to do it? Of course not. Be like, "Oh, Atlas, and we need to get some of these materials. Let's go get them. You don't have to worry about going to buy shit. Oh, Atlas, I don't know like how far do you draw this timeline?" And even then, this is the way that I'm thinking. Okay, maybe it is like some sort of being brainwashed. Like, this is the system you're in. So that's, of course, how I see life. But what about the people that haven't been born yet? What about, let's fast forward and robots are doing everything. Robots have literally every single job you could think of. They deliver your food. You don't even, if you want to go out to eat, I guess you can. You're not driving. You're gonna be in one of those like Waymo things. You're gonna have a self-driving car. It won't even be legal for you to drive your own car. You can't do that shit. You gotta go on the track or something where, like you go drive go-karts now. You have to go somewhere where you're permitted to drive. Other than that, nah, man, you're gonna slow shit up. We got AI actually being very efficient. Everybody's able to move at 150 miles per hour, and you know what I mean. You just see cars literally whipping around because there are no mistakes that happen, because everything is, in a way, in a hive mind when it comes to the artificial intelligence. They might have their own individual components that they're able to rationalize and reason and stuff like that, but there's probably going to be something where they can all tap into. The lights connect with the cars, and the cars connect with the signs on the road, and the directions of the what everything is one. The red lights, the green lights, the stop signs, everything is all connected. And if you think about what traffic jams are, it's basically just compounding stupid. It's just a whole bunch of people being like, "Oh, I didn't know how to get off here," and just being like, "People, it's okay. We're just people. What can you expect? Give us a break. We're only human." But it's a domino effect where you have dozens and dozens of people doing these human mistakes, and well, it backs up. And next thing you know, you have a line down the freeway. We don't do that. We don't have that. We have a system where if you need to get over, there's a way where you can easily get over efficiently without, slowing anybody down. And it looks like one big machine that's working together if you were to look at it from an aerial view. All right, let's take a little break to mention the sponsor of this episode. By the way, sharks are older than trees. So naturally, this video was brought to you by Carry On by XOXuded. It's now streaming everywhere you listen to music. Goodbye.
I'll carry on lonely, yeah. So I'ma carry on then. Life can be a bitch, but we bonded. I know she just here to keep me honest, testing me with hardships, seeing if I crack under the pressure. I stand by every L, they don't stand for lack of effort. Close my eyes and I see M's, and my kids don't want for nothing. I've been dreaming of the day when I ain't stressing over money, but until that time comes, I ain't never slowing down. Heavy is the head with the crown. This shit that keep me up at night, every day is wearing me down. But heavy is the head with the crown. The story of my life, I guess.
in this future where robots are doing everything, where robots are doing the driving, and I say robots because, I mean, what is a robot, right? You know, like we saw in the video different types of robots. One looked like a little dog that was walking around, and then you got these humanoid looking things. So these self-driving cars are basically robots. They just look like cars, you know? And it makes you think, what is a robot? Is it the capabilities that they have, or is it the quote unquote brain that we put inside of them? You know, it's just a hunk of metal without the intelligence part, without the ability to program into it. That's crazy. I actually don't know, like, are each of these programmed like it is some sort of computer software, or is it something that it has some way of reasoning on what it needs to do next? And I guess then it would still need some sort of programming into it. I look at me trying to figure out how a fucking robot works. Silly human. Because soon they're gonna start creating themselves. They're gonna start making better themselves. And it'll probably leave us scratching our heads. But why? Again, why wouldn't you? I don't want one of these human-made robots. Very awesome, very efficient, very effective. But have you seen the new design that has been created completely by robots? Not just created as far as, like, doing all of the technical work, but it thought of the schematics and designs behind it. It actually engineered its next version of itself. I'm sorry, but I can't go back to them human-made things. Like, it's not the same. You'll see. You'll see. In this future, what are we doing? If we're not working, what are we doing? If everybody has everything they need, what are we doing? Is it one of those things where we're on constant vacation, constant retirement? I mean, you hear of people actually statistically dying faster once they retire. Well, niggas not trying to die faster by any means. And I'm thinking that the reasoning behind that is because after all that time, putting in all those years into whatever job that you did, by the time you retire, slow down, stop. Don't do anything? What do you mean? What are you talking about? This is why I get up every single morning. And it's crazy how much our own brains, our own perception actually dictates how our body performs. That's why you can have placebo effects and shit like that. That's why if you think something, it can come into existence. And it seems like science fiction, but we're connected, our brains and our bodies. It's all connected. Maybe it's just a cleanse, right? Maybe after a long enough timeline, you don't have people that feel that way anymore. And it sounds a little crazy. It sounds a little conspiratorial, right? Conspiratorial? Conspiracy? Sounds like a conspiracy. um, just kill off everybody that feels that way. Like, I need purpose. I need meaning. I need all of this. I don't want to just exist. I want to have something, some sort of job, whatever. Even if it's not a job where I'm going to make money, I need some sort of purpose. Aren't those people the worst? People that were born before 2050? God, gotta get rid of all of them. 2050 and beyond, though, those motherfuckers, they're completely complacent and docile. And they're okay with being herded around. Not in a bad way. I mean, after all, they have everything they could ever want. Anything they could ever want. In fact, half of them don't even exist, what is existing, but they don't consciously exist in the real world for the most part anyways. Half of them, they live in the virtual world where they literally just live in whatever simulation they feel like that day. They live whatever life. Maybe in this future it's more than half. Maybe maybe most of the people have to lean on simulated realities in order to get any sort of purpose from life. And that's kind of scary if you think about it. Not because I'm against it. Honestly, I think I look forward to that. I think I look forward to that. It's kind of been one of those things where it's like a childhood fantasy that I've always had, like to actually be in a game, feel like I'm in that shit. I feel the wind, I get hurt. Obviously, I don't want to die, but like some sort of repercussion, you know what I mean, to make it where it feels like things are physically on the line right now. I don't know. Either way, haven't thought of all the details, but that's something I remember being a little kid and being like, man, imagine if a game was like that. So yeah, I'm not against it by any means. But what's scary is if you take off the VR set, or that's me talking in these modern times, who am I to think that it'll be a VR set? That it won't be something that's just already, I don't know, augmented into our vision or our brain or some shit like that, where it's very integrated. There's no leaving your phone behind. You and your phone are one. It's the same shit. But it's scary to think that if you turn off the simulation, the VR driven purpose and meaning that you have found in life, it's scary to think that there's not any other purpose and meaning out there. And I think there will be people that reject all of it. They reject all of this shit. And yes, you will have people born after 2050 in this hypothetical timeline where, people radically think different by that time. You'll have kids that, yeah, they were born after 2050, but what if you were born in the woods? And like one of these little communes that is completely against any sort of technology and you live off the grid. And it doesn't have to be one of those, where it's some sort of like what do they call it? Like a militia where you are the anti-terrorist or whatever. I don't know. Where you are trying to take down the uh the world order as it is. If you are the group that is on the outsides of the cities and you don't use technology, you might think of it in the story where they're trying to overthrow the people that do use technology and try to free all of the people that are just enslaved by the technology that they cast aside. It doesn't have to be like that. What if they're just chilling, like coexist type shit? And it doesn't have to be where the robots are like, let's go destroy them just because they're not a part of the group. I get it. They're great stories for movies and TV shows and shit like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. It could just be different people live in different ways. In fact, why would we even give a fuck? It actually might be better. Let the factions divide the way that they would. The people that give up technology altogether, the people that just dive into these virtual realities, and the people that want to merge with technology and they become half robot, half human. And you know what I mean? You got the robots, but now you got the human robots, not just the humanoid robots, but the actual human robots. You know, cyborgs, I think they're called. You got cyborgs. You got people that they want to go live on fucking Mars and fuck Earth. We did everything we could on Earth. We got to go terraform Mars and create a new planet just in case something happens. You got the people that want to just go and explore space, period. And, again, forget Earth. You're going to have different factions of people. And if we don't have if we don't have the worry of being able to afford to survive, I mean, I could see how people would naturally go into whatever direction they want to. You know, you either become a part of the system where you get this universal basic income, or you say to hell with all of this technology and you go and find your own food, you find your own shelter, and you figure out ways to do your own thing. I don't know how sophisticated these people would want to be. When did they stop? You know, you got Amish people that they stopped at a certain level of technology. After that, they're like, we're done. We don't want any more. You can have like a horse and carriage and shit like that. It's okay. But if I see a cell phone, we've gone a little bit too far. There should be no radios and shit. How far do these people take it? How far? Do they do the same thing where there's literally no technology whatsoever? Or is it up to like 2025? Like, bro, you can have an iPhone and shit like that. But you over here talking about augmented reality where you're inserting it into your brain, or I can't even. That's what's so cool. I can't even think of the fucking shit that's to come. We don't know. I literally saw the other day. I know this is random as fuck, but I saw the other day. This motherfucker said he came up with this. It's AI powered, so it's autonomous. It follows you around. It's like a drone like floating above you. You're like, why the fuck would you have a drone floating above you? I'm sorry, it's a fucking umbrella. It's an umbrella drone that floats above you autonomously and follows you when it rains. Hold an umbrella? Nigga, I never would have thought of that shit. That's what? And it just follows me. I've been waiting, and I'm gonna put this out into the world because I really want this shit to happen. You know, I've always struggled finding somebody to hold the camera. You know, you hold the camera and it's a little shaky, so it's like you gotta. And the tripod, it's just a very still image. Of course, it's good for things like podcasts, but when you're doing music, you know, you want some movement in that shit. And I remember I took my kids to see Sonic 3, I think it was, and the Dr. Eggman, the Jim Carrey character, I think it's Dr. Eggman. Dude has these little ball things that are following him around, and they're basically little cameras and microphones. So this motherfucker at any time can have a cameraman and they just follow him and it's autonomous. There is no if we can have a floating umbrella that follows you, bro, I'm telling you, I'm putting it out into the world. That's one of the pieces of technology that I want to see. That shit would be a game changer. I would get that shit immediately. That shit would be so fire. So fire. Oh my god. I'm getting excited at the idea of it. A floating umbrella. What made you know what? I'm tired of when it rains. I gotta sit here and like my arm hurts. My arm hurts. And then taking it back to what we were talking about, this is where a lot of people are like, see, we're replacing our own arms now. We're replacing our arms. We're so fucking lazy. Again, have you seen Wally? They're all fat and sitting down for a reason. You call them sci-fi movies and TV shows. I don't know, man. It's starting to feel like it's just predicting what's to come. You say don't be pessimistic, but it's starting to feel like we're on a bad path no matter what. We can't even hold our umbrellas now. And I don't by any means actually feel like that's a negative thing. I think it's cool as shit. Bro figured out how to just like imagine the first time he used that shit when it rained. And he just walked around. He knows everybody's looking at him. You know that nigga felt cool as fuck. Oh, this is a little something I made. You know, it's my umbrella. Don't worry. It stays with me. I can't even imagine all of the different inventions that are going to be here 20 years from now. It's going to be a lot shorter timeline than that, but 20, 25 years from now, man, where people are literally just like, I don't know what type of future that's going to be. People are just scratching their heads. For the first time ever, people are just scratching their heads like, man, the future could look like anything. Imagine how many different inventions will change the way that we interact with the world around us, the way that we look at life, where people will think it is barbaric that we ever had to hold our own umbrellas. Well, what if there's wind? Sometimes there was. Where you got wind resistant, and that's just the start. And maybe that's where we get meaning from. But not everybody can be an inventor. Not everybody can come up with some shit. I'll be thinking of like some ideas, like, damn, it'd be cool if I had this. Like, I don't know how to make it though. The fuck is that gonna do? I guess it's old Atlas, Mr. Factory Worker slash inventor slash doctor slash any fucking thing I need. Can you help me out? This is what I want to do. The same way that we're able to prompt in an application or a website, and it just spits it out. The same way we're able to prompt image creation or video creation, the same way we're able to prompt whatever with LLMs now. What if there's some way that you can do that same sort of prompting system with an actual humanoid robot charged by artificial intelligence? Well, we actually can create this. The thing that you were talking about, as far as Dr. Eggman and his little floating cameras, in fact, let's look at the schematics for this umbrella thing you're talking about, and it starts computing. I don't know. See, I don't know how I would do it. It sounds good. Like you get a little ball, maybe a fan. It's like a helicopter. But then it's like if you have a fan and it's going up, then you got the fan noise in the shot. So you can't really you can't really talk without having a constant like like fan ringing in the background. It's kind of, yeah. Not everybody can be an inventor, bro. I would flop around like a fish out of water. I wouldn't know what to do. It's like, okay, yeah, because you're not an inventor, you're a creator. See, you could also find meaning from that. You can create different things. You can create podcasts and movies and all of these things that make it easier. It's not going to make it where it's pointless to make movies. It's going to make it where anybody can do these things. Anybody could be an inventor. You have the idea, somebody's going to be there to help you. You have the idea for a movie, something, some sort of software or artificial intelligence, LLM, something is going to be there to actually generate that for you. You don't have to worry about finding actors. You don't have to worry about finding the material. You don't have to worry about knowing how to invent something. You don't have to worry about shit. You just have the idea, and bam, here it is. Is that future so bad? Is that future something that we should be running away from? Again, I guess I'm just nervous that that open-minded feeling that I have to, okay, if you're not an inventor, you could do this. If you're, whatever you can imagine. There's some people that are just like, I can't imagine anything. I don't really care about any of that. I just wanna, and I guess that, like, you can just, those will be the people that they live in like the virtual realities and everything is just spoon fed. But then that's also what some people are scared about. Just sheep being herded around, being spoon fed, whatever piece of content. Again, just pushing that damn dopamine button over and over. Just a walking bag of meat that does nothing. And I think I've talked about this before, where you look at other animals and they're just animals. They just exist as themselves. So is that so bad? Is that our intelligence getting in our own way of simplicity and bliss? Where because we have a certain level of intelligence and consciousness, we have to feel like, well, this can't just be my life. Surely this can't be where I derive meaning from, just being. And in fact, I'm talking about deriving meaning, not even worrying about meaning. Just, yeah, pushing the dopamine button. When I eat when I want to eat, I watch shit when I want to watch it. I go and look at the sunset when I want to. I just literally just do whatever my body, my instincts are telling me to do. I don't know. Maybe maybe a side effect of not flexing our, where do I get meaning from? What should I do? Not flexing that for so long. Again, right now it's easy to be like, that would never happen, but 100, 200 years from now, we're we're all dead unless they, do some fucking longevity science type shit where we can continue to extend our life, which, fingers crossed on that. But assuming that we were in the minority, again, if you're really pushing against anything tech related or anything, like you don't want to embrace the changes and blah blah blah, you're probably not going to embrace the same longevity science that's going to help you keep, keep your body alive for longer. You'll probably just say that's not natural and you'll die off. Again, 200 years from now, world is completely different. Anything that we could think of, it's basically a fraction of what's actually to come. At that point, the dominant persona, the dominant personality, the dominant vibe for the culture is going to be just go with it. It's all good, bro. It's not that deep. We don't need meaning. I'm not even thinking about shit like that. Does our intelligence go down too? Is that a side effect of what happens? After generation and generation, does our intelligence, and not that we can measure it, our level of consciousness lower? We just give a fuck less. Because that's a type of future I guess I wouldn't want to be a part of. Because even if you did still give a fuck, if the majority of people did not give a fuck, what are you giving a fuck about? Like where are you getting your meaning from? Again, let's say you get your meaning from, you give a fuck about inventing stuff and creating new, I don't know, whatever's needed at that time to help people all around the world, but nobody gives a fuck. It's only you. Only you and a few other people are like, look, this is life changing. I'm like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. I don't know. 200 years from now, the level of give a fucks could be extremely lower, which I put a link between that and our intelligence and consciousness level. But that's only because that's where I lie the blame for why we even need some sort of sense of purpose, why we even give a fuck about a meaning in our life. If we were more simple, we'll put it that way. If we were more simple, we wouldn't give a fuck either. We would wake up every single day, smile on our face, just happy. Not even really happy to be alive because you don't even really give a fuck enough to wrestle with the idea that you might not have woke up today, that you could have died in your sleep last night. You won't wrestle with those. How do you give a fuck about gratitude when you're too busy enjoying the moment to be grateful? This went on a lot of different angles than I thought it would. But that's kind of what happens when I start thinking out loud about the future. When I saw the Atlas robot, I flipped the fuck out, man. Like I was blown away. And one thing that is, I wouldn't call it bothering me, but I've definitely noticed it. So maybe a certain level it does bother me. But I've definitely noticed that I ended up showing this to so many different people, different friends and family, right? I didn't get one single positive response. Not one. Like not one. Not one person was like, "Oh my God." Even from my dad. Like my dad growing up, he was always, I think he's the one that really got me into this. Like, you know what I mean? Like aliens and thinking about different technology and shit like that. I thought out of anybody, he would have, even if you are scared, be like, whoa, this is amazing. Scary as fuck. But this is breathtaking how far we've come. And I think in the video, Boston Dynamics said this is 30 years of work where they start out with those little robots and they continue to progress. And this wasn't something that, well, AI's here, let's just come up with robots now. It didn't just pop out of nowhere. We've been saying we want robots. We've been saying we want automation. We've been saying we want help with the hard work. Who wants to do any of the hard things that go into the things that we have to do when we can create and invent things that don't? Why would we want to walk places when we can drive? Why would we want to drive places when we can fly? Why would we want to fly places when we can just, I don't know, take a cruise and now we could be out in the middle of the ocean and watching dolphins? We come up with all these different things that can scratch different itches that we have, and we've been having the itch of robotics for a long time. Nobody was positive. Everybody was saying, this is crazy. This is, everybody's going to get replaced. Just a whole bunch of doom and gloom shit. This is scary. Like my mom didn't even really say words. Ooh, like she just like started like making noises at it like it was some sort of like demon. I don't know. I just thought this was a cool video. It showed these robots that can do everything that we can do and more. But that's what's scary. Have you not seen these movies? And you can look at the I think it was called like the CES, like some sort of tech convention that was going on. And there was other robots other than the Atlas. The Atlas was there. It made its debut there, and of course it had a lot of people very impressed. But they weren't the only robots. There was other robots there that were like something you could box with and were doing different fighting moves and shit like that. Maybe that's where people's minds go. Like these robots, what if they can just take over? We won't be the apex predator. I don't know. Again, we've been thinking about this for a long time, since before I was born. You know what I mean? Like we've been thinking about this shit since like when did the fucking Jetsons come out? The Meet George Jetson. I don't think I've ever actually watched it. I just know of that cartoon where they got flying cars, they got robots and shit like that. Everything looks all futuristic in this show. How long have we been hoping for this future? And now it's here and everybody's scared? I don't know. I for one am excited. I'm nervous. It's like the same feeling when you're going up a roller coaster and you just it's like a big ass roller coaster. You're basically looking straight up and you just hear the tick 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 tick, and you're going all the way up, and we're at the very end where the tick 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 is going to go a little bit slower. Everybody the entire way up that's been around me, it's been like this thing's going to crash. As soon as we go down, we're going off the rails. We're going to go around the loop and we're just going to fall fucking down. They're coming up with all of these different ways where this roller coaster is going to crash. And I'm just like, this shit's also going to be pretty fun if it doesn't, though. Like, did you not see everybody put their hands up on this part? This is going to be the fun part. Isn't that why we got in line? Isn't that why we got on this ride in the first place? And I guess you could argue a lot of people in this world, they didn't sign up for this. They didn't ask to be on this ride, so to speak. And yet, here they are with everybody else. Is that fair? I mean, shit. Fair? You don't have to partake. You don't have to partake. I mean, but to bury your head in the sand, you can't do that either. And maybe it's not fair. Maybe the fact that you can't bury your head in the sand and just say, y'all do you guys, I'm gonna do me, and I'm gonna keep my job, I'm gonna do, like, what if you can't do that? What if, again, 30 years from now, everybody's getting replaced? I don't give a fuck. 30 years from now, everybody's replaced. By the time my kids are my age, so it doesn't even have to be 30 years. That's why I'm saying 30 years just to give myself grace. I think by the time my son is 8, my daughter is 6. By the time my kids are grown, by the time you have to start thinking about, okay, I'm out, I'm a grown up, I gotta worry about bills and all that shit. I don't think they will. I don't. I don't think they will. And what do you tell the next generations that are coming? Go to college? What do you tell the next generations? Be a doctor. Spend 8 years to become a doctor to get replaced. You will be replaced. Everybody. Everybody. And I think as scary as that is, it opens up the possibility of a very different but bright future. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this roller coaster will crash. Maybe. But it won't crash immediately. At least I'm banking on it. So I'm gonna put my fucking hands up. I'm gonna go down this first hill. I'm gonna scream at the top of my lungs, and I'm gonna have a big ass smile on my face. Because I did want to get on this ride. I did want to see how it felt. I didn't want to be another fucking generation that like my dad was born in the fucking 60s, and he would tell me that like him growing up, they would think they would have flying cars and shit like that. Like what? You did? That's wild that you thought that. And then as time passed, I was like, man, maybe everybody thinks that. Maybe everybody thinks that this is when everything's going to change. And yes, obviously from when he was a kid to when I was a kid, everything changed completely. What internet? You know, what streaming? So obviously there was changes, but it wasn't the changes that they wanted. I didn't want to be another generation that was looking at some of these things that we called the future. An example, flying cars. An example, robots that do the work for you. An example, artificial intelligence. An example, fucking 3D printers that can just print our food. And I know it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? These are different futuristic technologies that we looked at and have been fantasizing over for how long? I didn't want to be another generation that was just looking at a fantasy. And I'm starting to see so many of these childlike fantasies of mine come true. And everybody is scared as fuck. Everybody is nervous as shit. Everybody's telling me that the roller coaster is about to crash. Nobody has their hands up. And I don't mean nobody. It's like I have to go online to look at other people that are also optimistic about the future. And I just kind of know them from afar, where I see them in videos and they seem optimistic. But the average person that I know, every single person that I've talked to about this, literally every single person, I haven't talked to one single person about this shit. About any of the futuristic shit, like, at all. Like, even AI. Not one single person is positive. And I'm not saying it like these people suck and, what anything bad about them. Obviously, these are people around me. Like I said, friends and family. I think it's more of a metric of what the average everyday person feels about the future that's coming. And yeah, you can argue it's such a small sample size that it doesn't really show how the average person thinks, but I don't know. I don't know. I would have thought maybe talking, all right, you talking to your parents, you talk to, you know what I mean, anybody in older generations. No, people my age, people younger, just in general. I think it's sad because we're missing our opportunity to put our hands up. And maybe it's like that Final Destination movie where I know that this shit's gonna crash. What do you mean put my hands up? It's gonna crash later. And you just sound insane. Well, yeah, put your hands up until it does. It's gonna crash, but until it does, you might as well enjoy yourself. Right? That's very nihilistic of you. It doesn't matter what you do. You can't stop it. You might as well enjoy it. Yeah, I could see how that sounds crazy, but nobody really has that premonition for real. Not that I know of. Nobody can really see the future like that for real. You're just assuming that everything won't work out. You're just assuming that this roller coaster is gonna derail. I think it might be a little fun. Just a little fun.